Hi everyone, welcome to Simplicity TV. I am Jen Pike, your host, and this is part of our Couch series. I wanted to put together a new kind of vibe around our Cut the BS episodes and have a conversation with you, women, how I would if you were here in my house. I host a lot of different events here in my home. My children are so used to all these women coming into the house. I really honestly feel that there is such a huge difference, especially in the day and age that we live in now, where I'm so grateful that this is how you and I are connecting at this moment, that technology is available to deliver you this information. But when you get to be inside someone's home, when you're sitting on the couch, when you're in a living room space, there is a different depth of quality that comes out of the conversations that we have with one another. And so I wanted to be able to create some of that. I'm not fancied up. I'm literally wearing what I'd be wearing if you popped into my house unexpectedly. And I wanted to go through a lot of the common emails, questions, concerns that we have come in. So where I wanted to begin this conversation today is around the topic of acne. This one I think possibly I attract a little bit more of because I've been very open and honest about my own struggle with acne in the past and how now it has become my body's own internal GPS system, meaning that it is a compass for me, a guide as to if I'm starting to live outside of my body's realm of what balance feels like to me, if I'm starting to have things that are a little bit more sugary, a bit more stimulating, if I have a little bit, too much wine or something like that, my body very quickly pulls me right back into action by giving me the sign and symptom of getting the breakouts. If I'm not getting enough sleep, if I'm saying yes to too many things and my nervous system and my hormones are having to respond to that, I'll get those breakouts. And again, it's a way of me knowing I've got to pull back somewhere in my life. I need to have more space and more rest. So what I find is the first thing that I will ask someone when they say to me, I've got acne, is I'll ask, where is the acne on your face? Is it only on your face? Are you breaking out on your chest and across your shoulders and on your back? Do you have breakouts in around the areas of the glutes? Are you prone to really bad ingrown hairs as well too? These are all connected to that acne family. Now, there is something called face mapping, meaning that where you get the breakouts on your face can help to draw our attention to the various organs and systems in your body that might need a little bit more attention. So for instance, a lot of forehead acne is going to be really connected to the digestive system and to the bowels. So are you constipated? Do you have, hard pellety stool? Do you have a lot of dampness and mucus in your body and you're wiping multiple times after a bowel movement? Do you get a lot of acne between the eyes? This is a big connection to our liver meridian. So is it sluggish? Is it bogged down? Do you have a lot of chemical and environmental toxins around you that you're being exposed to? Do you have a history of using some form of hormonal replacement therapy or the birth control pill or metformin or Clomid or fertility medication? If it's around the cheeks and in this area, this has a lot to do with congestion in the body in terms of our lymphatic system, our lungs, and our respiratory system. So did you have a history growing up of a lot of allergies, of asthma? Are you the person that's kind of sensitive to everything? If it's more so around the jaw and the mouth and kind of down the neck and underneath, this is really this hormonal line here. And if this is the area where it's happening, this is where a lot of women come into my practice. Typically, this is an issue around the androgenic hormones in your body, which are more of the male hormones, testosterone and DHEA in your system. And when they're elevated, not only will you have acne, and it's not like little pimples, it can become more like cystic acne. And this is one of the defining traits as well too, is that there's differences. There's whiteheads, there's blackheads, there's pimples, and then there's cystic hard acne. And there's some that become boils. Now, if you have along with this excess chin on the hair that's growing, you're losing the hair on your head, you've got hair growing around the breast and the nipples, in between, along the navel line, those types of things, even if you notice, and this can seem TMI, but on here anything is available to talk, that your pubic hairline starts to grow more so down the inner edge of your thighs, these can be some of the exterior signs and symptoms that those male hormones are elevated. So this isn't an issue usually of having estrogen dominance dominance, it's having higher androgens in relationship to healthy progesterone levels. And constitutionally, I find this part so fascinating that when you look at a woman who has higher androgens, whose liver has too much heat, like she is just go, go, go. If you look in her life, this is her personality. Type A, overachiever, task-oriented, taskmaster, constantly moving from one thing to the next, the doer in all the relationships. She makes the decisions, she initiates. This is like, I read this and was like, oh my God, how is my face not next to this description? Like, that's so much of how I always live my life. I've got this, I'll do it on my own, I don't need help, I'll figure it out, I'll make it happen. And for me, that whole thing happened where when I carried my daughter, a girl, beautiful radiant skin, she really balanced out my body in so many ways. When I carried my son, holy mother, I broke out. And it set things into motion. And I didn't realize it at the time until my studies got deeper into this area, that carrying a boy, having his higher androgenic activity in my system where my vulnerability was these higher male hormones, it was like the perfect storm. I was already tired and depleted because I had a 2-year-old. I was running a business. My wasn't getting a lot of sleep and a lot of rest. My stress was up, and now here I was carrying a little boy, and my body was like, well, here's your path of least resistance. So it started me on this really 6-7 year struggle with acne, and I was trying all the topical things, all the cleansers, all the products, the essential oils, all of those things. And I would get a little bit better, but then something would happen and then I would get a lot worse. And it wasn't until just over 2 years ago when I actually went to an acupuncturist, to a Chinese medicine doctor, and I really started to understand more about the connection to our liver, our kidneys, our spleen, our gallbladder, our bowels, that how this really had so much to do with what was going on with the skin. I had one treatment of acupuncture and my face cleared up by about 25%. He put me on specific herbs that were disgusting that I had to cook and that I had to take in tincture form for my liver. I had never had breast tenderness or any PMS symptoms before I had my son. I had some of that was creeping up too. As soon as I got into this habit of doing the acupuncture and taking the herbs and the tonics, all of those things just softened and quieted down in my body. My skin got clearer, and then I would start to space out how often I was taking the liver tonics, how often I was, eating and doing the things he was telling me to do, and it would get worse. I would go back to the acupuncture, I'd get back on my liver detox, I'd get back to my adrenal self-care, it would get better. And so it took me a few years to realize, man alive, I just have to stay in it. And so now I know my lane when it comes to supporting my skin. The other part as well too, outside of healing what's going on with your liver, because if you don't work on cleansing the liver, you're never going to heal your acne. I'm going to tell you that straight up. But you also have to work on the gut. Is there any level of leaky gut syndrome? Do you have constipation or diarrhea, gas, bloating, reflux, whatever your issues are? Are you at the point where if you look back, did you take a lot of antibiotics? Were you on allergy medication, allergy shots, inhalers? Did you ever go to a dermatologist that prescribed you a cream, a topical cream that had something like 2% clindamycin, which is an antibiotic that you were applying topically to your skin? I did. For 5 years when I was modeling. I didn't even have acne then. This is what they just put you on prophylactically so you didn't break out. Did you go on the birth control pill and cause suppression in your pituitary gland and various systems? Were you on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication? All of these things create this internal chemical shitstorm in our bodies. And our gut has to manage this, our livers have to manage this, the governing meridian of our kidneys, which is helping your ovaries, is having to manage this. And so all of these things happening behind the scenes from the time that we were like a small child, some of this could have even been happening when you were inside your mother's body, has led us to the place that we're at now with the skin that we have. So when you are trying to approach an acne healing protocol, it is not one thing. It is not buying a supplement for acne. It is not simply using the oil cleansing method. Those things are going to help you, but you have to dig beneath and do the real work. And how do you do that? You need to work with a practitioner who has the ability to look outside of the box, to even look off of the face that is standing in front of them, and to ask and dig for deeper questions so that they can actually plot and outline what your timeline was that got your skin to this place and start to do the work healing you from the inside out. I wish I had a really simple answer and could tell you that tomorrow it's going to be gone by doing this one thing, but it's not. You need to give yourself months and a period of time to slough out what needs to get out of your system, to remove the junk, to decrease the toxicity, and then start to replace and rebuild your body and your skin's health and vitality. But I can promise you that there is help for your acne, and it's not going to come in the form of Accutane and tetracycline and the birth control pill. So I would highly encourage you that if this is something you're struggling with, that you look into something like the Hormone Project course that I teach, that you even sign up for our 7-day simplicity detox to help to have a place to learn how to eat and what to do with your body, or that you reach out to us for some one-on-one work and some consultations. I hope that that just opened up your mind frame a little bit, that maybe those weren't things you were thinking about as to possibly why your acne is where it is today. And ladies, I'll leave you with one final thought. We grew up thinking that acne was something that happened when you were just a teenager, when you were going through puberty. Majority of the people coming into my practice now are dealing with acne for the first time in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And this is this total toxic overload that I'm talking about that our bodies are managing. So don't waste another day. Don't waste another dollar on different products and things like that. Get down to the root of what is going on in your individual system. I hope that sheds some light for you. Have a fantastic rest of your day.